So we're here to solve this tricky balance loop variation called Only for You by Serkan. It's got, as you see, tons of clues, 4s as the only clues, and we've got a star battle constraint as well. We're going to have to place, let's see, this is a 12 by 12 grid. We're going to have to place 24 stars in the grid outside of loop cells. I'm going to start by taking where we've got the composite selection on to just draw a line in X. Going to take a cell like this 4 in the lower left, which has just 2 directions it can go out from. It can't come further left because it would move off the grid and it's on an edge. So this is an easy start. It looks like this 4 on the edge is also an easy start on the right side because it can't connect into a black 4. A black 4 is 1 plus 3, and a white 4 is 2 plus 2. And so those mean that a 2 is not a 1 or a 3, so they'll have to go in different directions. I see one other spot where there's a white 4 and a black 4, and that's here. So this 4 can't come to the right because a 2 can't join it to that space. So we've got some start down here like that. This 4 needs like a 3 long section. It looks like it's got a few options still, so that's not promising. But for this 4, the 3 long section can't come to the left. It would cross a place we said was not possible. By touching that white circle, it can't come down. So it's 3 long sections up top. That means this 4 in the upper right corner has only one direction for a 3 long section. And this 4 that's right next to it has only one direction. Look at this, like this would have the white be imbalanced, so it also has to have its longer section come left. So I got this start. I think the most interesting part of that is actually that we've got a lot of the top row filled. We've got 3 cells left over, and note around this white cell that we're going to have at least one more loop cell taken. So if this does this or does this, the remaining cell is going to have to be the star. So let's come over to shape, and I think we've already selected this, but I'm choosing the gray star as a thing to note. Remember, one of these 2 cells is a star, so the other star is over here. And I'll just shade the remaining cells that aren't stars in this way, having marked that star in this corner. Oop, I want to draw this line. We get this part of the loop in. We still have enough options. We've got 5 cells in the second row that could take a star, but there's probably more we can do around the shape on the upper left. So let's look at this for a little while. One thing to start is like if we take this white, which is somewhat constrained, and say it's just up and to the right, you'll end up forming a closed loop. So one thing we know for sure is it comes down. We can ask, does it go further down? If it goes further down, it's going to need to take too long in some direction, which doesn't look that promising itself. So it's going to come in this direction to the right for sure and bend. And now it's got 2 options. It can do this, or it can do this. Both of those options look like they fill in this cell here. So that is a loop cell in the same way these are all loop cells. And what I see in coloring that in is that we've got 2 cells that are not part of the loop that can be stars. So one of these 2 and one of these 2. So these are all part of the loop. Maybe it's a good time to shade all the non-star battle cells in green so it's a little easier to scan. So everything that currently is part of the loop or a circle is going to be there. We're going to get another star in that cell and the last star in this row right here. So that looks like fairly promising progress. There's still some more to resolve up top, and I'm trying to see how we're going to get about it. And some of it is maybe recognizing what will be a pitfall of different paths around this corner. There still is probably something around this corner that we could be working off of. I'm not sure I immediately see it though. One thing we can do is start to come down here to like clues like these 4s. We haven't looked at them yet. They have to have a long leg of 3, and so there are some options that are not good, like this 4 to the left, but we have a choice here and a choice here. So this isn't the circle to look at, but this circle can't come down. If it came to the top, it would be imbalanced, so for sure it comes to the right 3. But that actually intersects another 4 circle, so it's going to have to come to the left 3. So those are getting shaded in quickly. And that now actually looks like that's pretty limiting, because it's now giving us a situation where we've got 3 cells left in this column and a few cells like these that are part of spaces that see 2 of those 3 that would eliminate too much around them. And so that may give us a little bit of a more constrained space for what's next to place into this grid. I'm looking at some of these other cross rows, and they're close to where there's going to be elimination. So there are like 6 cells here, and you can imagine like a star, a star, a star, and then you still have 3 cells left for the last star. So it's not yet the context where we have, you know, a space where you can split into 2 by 2 squares and know for sure where all the stars go, but we're not far off from that kind of elimination being ready soon. I guess there's some more loop stuff to do, and the loop stuff's probably going to help us. So when we marked in these stars on the right, we can no longer turn here because we're going to isolate the loop. So it's going to come down, and this is also going to come to the left and down. And marking that in, we actually get how the stars push to the left into these cells and have those cancellations. That now actually limits this 4, which used to have a space up and no longer can. It would go to the stars, so that puts this in. Puts this down. The 4 has to come to the left. That all looks good. That's going to mark some more in to the grid as sure loop sections. We have this needing to immediately turn down, and then it's going to have to dodge this, so this also turns down, so this comes across. This 4 needs to take 3 cells in some direction, and the only way it looks like it can do it now is to the left. And that's going to now actually force these out. And now you'll see that with the remaining spaces, there's a star in one of those cells, but there's a star here. That eliminates this space. So in the row just below, there's a star in one of these 2 cells and a star there. We're getting to where it looks like 1, 2, 3 options in the row just below. That's not a lot. And one thing I actually see is we've got in this vertical column, let's look at columns 3 and 4, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces for stars as the limitation. And these 2 are known for sure based on what we have marked in the grid already. So that's going to give us a lot up top because we now know which of the 2 ways the loop is going to go. This is going to have to immediately turn. This has some flexibility, but we're going to see that this will get cleared pretty soon. Let's come over here. This loop end is isolated. It doesn't come to the left. So that's how it goes. We've got a space where one of these, let's take this black circle. I think you can do some of this logic for both these black circles. We're going to need to have a longer leg and a shorter leg. And if the longer leg is to the left here, notice it's going to have to keep continuing. So I think in all scenarios, these black circles join. And it's then the case that, like, if this comes straight down, we've got a too long leg. You've got a case where this will come straight together, but now this is too short, and otherwise this end is isolated. So this has to come to the left. And with this end marked and this end above it marked horizontally, we now have to have a channel come across. That puts this 4 in here. This now turns away. This continues and extends over. So that's a valid top. We've got some more of the loop to try to fill in here. And one thing to probably look at, there are some more spaces where having stars would cause issue. Both of these cells would eliminate the options for the star in one of those 2, and we know for sure we've got a star in one of those 2. So I think I can mark this constraint in. We've got a star over here and another. Those are the only remaining cells there. That eliminates these. Sorry, let me go back to green. Eliminates these, eliminates these. We now have a star for sure here and a star over there. I'll remove these colors just for a bit so you can just see it. The star we just placed is going to make the loop turn around it. The star here is in a corner, so it's going to have to come through and down. Keep coloring what we know. We've got to get these loop ends into, I guess there are 2 things to potentially see. Like, do these loop ends, this one and this one, come together in some way, or do the 4s both come up? Notice that you have to have parity in the grid. So either both 4s come up or both go down on this horizontal stretch. And the one thing to recognize is if these both come up, we now have a case where to get to this black circle, we have to connect to the cell that's going to have a star in it or connect to an isolated point. So the 4s both go down, but we have to take these cells coming to the left. This is going to have to not come up. That's an imbalanced black, and we also need to get into the white, but it's going to come like this. This star is going to have to be able to have a space to go, and so it's going to come to the left one. That's going to leave, based on how we thought about it, 2 cells in the column that are going to take the stars. So those are all good. We've got stars coming across like this. We're going to need to have the loop keep coming down to make this valid. Let's color in some more that we know. We're going to have a star in one of these 2 cells, just based on the column. That'll give us a star in one of these 2 cells. Note after I mark this star that the loop can't come to the left through this direction, because then it would have to pass through the star. So the circle is left and right in all cases, and that now actually leaves just 1 star in position for this column, which now is going to move another star up and around, which is good. I'm just seeing if there's another space for some progress, and it looks like marking the star in the white over here takes at least 2 in a direction. It actually now takes exactly 2 in a direction from what we're seeing there. Let's come back to this black 4. We said before it couldn't come left, and now we've actually marked off the other option for where the 3 long leg is. So the 3 long leg is here. Notice that these ends are going to have to connect somehow, and only one more end comes in. So in this corner, for parity, the 4 has to go to the right. Because these ends are going to connect somehow, these ends have to dodge so that we keep one loop intact. We still need to have this white used, and it actually is blocked below, so it's got these 2 paths for it. It turns down and comes across. That's going to force this star below, which forces this in, just because we finished those spaces. This column now has a star in one of those 2 cells, which leaves the last star in the space here. That's going to force a star here and a star here. And we're going to have a star in these cells. We haven't isolated which those are yet. That will be the last logical deduction probably after we do the loop pieces. Let's get this loop connecting through. This 4 needs to have a 3 long section, can't come straight up, so it's going to come to the left. This loop end is going to come up and connect with this, so this 4 comes straight up. We've got this white that's near a corner, so the corner's got to come down, 2 going through, 2 going through, that looks fine. We have a case where there are 2 scenarios, like if this comes down, it immediately turns, and that's going to leave these spaces to connect as too small a loop, or we come left and over. And we come left and over, this, which is a valid 4, has to come right and up. And to finish the puzzle, we're just going to have to mark these stars, so here and here, and there we are. We finished this challenging balance loop from Serkan, and it was really a back and forth, and a complex back and forth between placing some loop sections, figuring out where we were pretty isolated in the grid without spaces for stars to go, using some careful shading and notation to make sure we were tracking things using some loop end parity. So hope you got a sense of how to work through this puzzle by me trying to find my way through it, and we'll see you again soon.